ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the world. Excuse me. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and you made it to another Monday, a re-entry Monday. The Breakfast Bankroll, good friend and colleague, Mr. Scotty Webb, live from Tampa, as it's November 3rd, Saturday. We set the clocks back. We fall back, of course, got an extra hour's sleep. Thank you very much. And now we're into November. World Series over. Obviously, this is our football show, but I want to ask Scotty his thoughts on Game 7. It's funny because I got some good friends and colleagues. I read the market. I read numbers. And I kept trying to say when the Dodgers are 2-1, 3-1, and everyone else is 10-1, the books know something. Of course they do. And I said, the light bulb will go on July 1st, August 1st, September 1st. Well, it was October 1st when the light bulb went on for the Dodgers. But I want to say this. They got beat in every category, aspect of this World Series. 1,000 respect to the Toronto Blue Jays, their fans. I didn't have the Jays coming out of the American League. I had Seattle. 3 outs away, gut-wrenching loss. Give up the tying homer in the 9th, losing the 11th. But a shutout to the Dodgers, back-to-back. And now they're going to try to be like UConn and go for the three-peat. In a year that I've talked to Scotty about, next year's baseball, fine. We'll have a full season of the, baseball in 26, but it's 27 that I'm expecting shenanigans, lockouts, and everything like that. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. And of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Terry Smith does an amazing job. If you don't go to place an order, do yourself a favor. At least get to Facebook. Look up Terry Smith, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Follow him. Start asking him some questions. Then come on back. Steak, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Terry does it all. So, again, take a look at that. The holidays are coming. He's got steaks, chops, appetizers. But he's got wines. He's got appetizers. He can do your back barbecue. He can set you up for a party during the holidays. So, Terry's a great friend of mine. And I thank him for all his meats that he sends me. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, Scott?
Hey, man. It's off to a new week, right? I mean, we got 1 week down and quarterbacks hurt all over the NFL. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, and again, I prefaced, might as well get it out of the way. Actually, you know what? I'm going to throw you a big curveball, Scott. I'm going to start the show, something that we haven't done in a while. We're going to have a little fun here. How's that sound? Feel like having some fun to start Monday?
I always like to have fun.
All right. It's ticket time. Go over to wagerwire.com. Download the app. It's free. Then take a look at their marketplace where they have tickets for sale. This one is an intriguing one, and I'm trying to see if I can blow it up a little more here for everyone here. Let's see if we can. Okay. This one's got 3 in the boot, Scotty. $100 investment to pay $12,422. It already had Germany winning the Eurobasket 2025. It had the Phoenix Mercury winning the series against the Liberty. It had the Dodgers winning the National League. And it got Kansas City Chiefs at plus 600 just to win the AFC. So this $100 investment to pay $12,000, if I switch over right now and I pull this up, it's currently valued at $3,654. That was before the KC loss. Now KC Buffalo always wins the regular season. Kansas City wins the playoff matchup. But this now gives Kansas City 4 losses. Is Kansas City going to make the playoffs? Yes. Before kickoff yesterday, most people had Kansas City as the number 1 seed in AFC, or the best team in the AFC, and the best team in football. Thoughts what you saw yesterday there, number 1. Thoughts now that they got 4 losses, and anything that you would start to be doing. I know this is a ticket that we're going to hang on to, but do you start trying to shop some shares, some 5%, 10% sell-offs? How would Scotty Webb handle this ticket?
Well, I don't think that Kansas City is it should be written off as a team that can't win the AFC, because I think they can. All they got to do is make it in, and then whoever they play or whatever the scenario is that I think that there's a possibility that they can beat any of those teams. I think Kansas City is better at home in the playoffs than they are on the road, and especially the age that they are and some of the stuff that they have. My concern with Kansas City is that Buffalo shut them down. So they didn't score, they didn't run the ball well, they didn't throw the ball well. I mean, it was not a great performance from Kansas City last night. Maybe that's just the way it was, but maybe there's a blueprint there that other teams can use. So I think that's a problem for Kansas City. But the bigger problem, I think, is Kansas City's in 3rd place in their own damn division. Don't look now, but Denver's 7-2 for God's sakes. And I know that Kansas City's going to play them. The Chargers, I don't think are nearly as good as some of these other teams. And I don't think Denver's that good either. I mean, Denver hasn't shown anything, but they're still 7-2. So when you start to think about the AFC, you've got teams that are very high up, meaning that you have the Colts and the Patriots, right? And the Colts and the Patriots. Well, what do we really think of those two? The Colts are beating up teams with the highest point differential in the NFL, but they played the Steelers, who aren't much, and the Steelers handed it to them. I'm not sure what to think of New England yet. I mean, New England hasn't played anybody much. They're going to play Tampa Bay this weekend, so we'll see how that goes for them. But you play who you play, but that does matter when you get to the playoffs. So, can Kansas City beat Indianapolis? Sure, they can. Can Kansas City beat New England? I think they can. So when you start to think about where are they at, can they beat Pittsburgh? Sure. So now you're in a spot where you sit there and go, well, who else is left? I mean, it's Kansas City, Buffalo, and I think that's where it's going to be. I don't care what the records are for these other teams. They might have better records. I don't think they're as good a team. So my opinion would be is hang on to your ticket, and if you want to try to dress it out, I would put a little bit of money somewhere with Buffalo.
And I keep saying this, I have plus money on winning the division. I have plus money making the playoffs. The Ravens are going to get fat. The Ravens will be in the playoffs unless Lamar gets hurt again like Jaden Daniels did. last night. But again, it's a ticket that I am firmly holding on to. We will be bringing this up week to week here. They have one more big ticket left with the Dodgers winning the World Series. This is a big one with the Lions left, and we'll be talking a lot more about that as the weeks go on. So hold on to that ticket, guys. You got plenty of.
I will say this though, Jeff. One of the things that I think people might now this is kind of off subject, but this is similar to subject to the Ravens. I think people should start buying some Seattle tickets. And the reason I say that is not because of what they looked like last night, but their defense has been pretty good. Their offense has been great. And, their schedule coming up, that they play Arizona, which obviously they can beat Arizona. They play the Rams, which they might lose that game. But then they play Tennessee, Minnesota, Atlanta, Carolina. And then they got the Colts, the Rams, and the 49ers. There's only a handful of games where – they might be underdogs coming up, and my thought is that they're already 6-2, 7-2. What's their record? They are Seattle. They are. Oh, come on, man. They're 6-2, and if they only lose 5 games for the whole season, they're going to be home playoff team hosting some of these other teams coming into Seattle. I think Seattle's a good ticket to have.
Yeah, Seattle ECSI VIPs kind of a mixed bag on the weekend. We start Saturday 2-2. We had the Nebraska team total over. We lose Riola right around the half. They kick a field goal the rest of the way. Had a DOA. Come back yesterday, 2-0. We had the Seattle team total over. There last night. We get that in the second quarter, and then we had the Kansas City Buffalo under there. Kind of funny, in our Westgate Superbook card we go 3-2, and I had 2 more games to give out to everyone yesterday on our desk for the ETSI VIPs. I was like, you know what, I'm not going to put you through the misery, and of course they come flying in. We had Pittsburgh +3 and a hook and on the money line, and we had the Falcons +5.5. And they lose 24-23 to the Pats there. So could have been a bigger day. But today, if you looked at the schedule, I know there's nothing about our show. College basketball starts, and there's about 100 games there. But anyways, here, before we dive into congrats, including James Madison. You were 7-1 in the marketplace. We're going to break those down quickly and then talk about the Monday night game. But I want your thoughts on Game 7, the World Series. Again, in my intro, it was always the Dodgers, and I'm being a little sarcastic there because the Jays had their opportunities to win this. But money-wise, reading the market, it was always the Dodgers. They just found a way. The light bulb went in October 1st, steamrolled to the World Series 9-1, and the Jays had them on life support, pulling their hair. Shout out to Eric S. from New Jersey. Yamamoto, MVP, he cashed a great ticket there. Thoughts on Game 7, thoughts on the World Series, and then you can very nicely put the MLB season to rest.
Well, I thought that Game 7 was interesting in the sense that Max pitched like a bulldog. I mean, he's not the same Max Scherzer was 6, 7, 8 years ago when he was winning Cy Young awards. But you got to give these veteran, hard-nosed, good pitchers a lot of credit for what they do. And I thought what he did was great, keeping him in the game. And Ohtani's Ohtani. Ohtani hasn't been the right pitcher since this whole season. So I expect Ohtani to be a lot more Cy Youngish next year than he was this year. Obviously, coming off of Tommy John and what he was doing there, so he'll be a better pitcher next year than he was this year. And I was initially shocked that Glasnow did not start that game. My opinion would be is Glasnow is a regular starting pitcher like Ohtani is, but I would rather put a Glasnow in the start. and then have Ohtani come in behind him. Ohtani's done that in like the WBC and some other places. He's pitched a couple innings in relief, and that might be all you need. You need a guy to come out to the bullpen and throw 100 miles an hour for a couple innings and go on to the next guy. So I thought it was interesting that they chose to do it that way. And then obviously they got behind there. Bichette hit that home run, and it's 3-0, and then they battled back. They scored one, and then they hit a home run, made it 3-2, and then it was 4-2 in the 8th inning, and Muncy hits a home run, make it 4-3, and then I guess the best way I say it was I was extremely excited for the player, not necessarily the team, but when you're the also ran of the Dodgers, so to speak, and you're the guy that comes up and hits the home run in the 9th inning to tie the game, that's a great moment for you. Now, I think obviously it makes it 4-4, and based off, and then Yamamoto coming in is he just pitched yesterday, the day before. I mean, Jesus Christ, and he's pitched all those innings before that, 2 complete games and stuff. And turned out he pitched 2.5 innings, gave up no runs. Of course, there was some good defense behind him a little bit, but it's amazing to me that happened that way. And then Will Smith, hits the home run to win the game. Doesn't surprise me at all, because that's who the Dodgers are. I mean, they have those kinds of guys. When you have the Dodgers down, you got to beat them. That's what you got to do, and they didn't. So they let them back in the game. They didn't add on. They only scored, they scored 1 run there somewhere, and they didn't add on any, and they needed to do so to win. And I think it's the same formula applies, right? Like the Dodgers won 1 game in Toronto, then it goes back to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers could have kept the whole series from even going to Toronto, but it didn't work out that way. The Dodgers had to win both games in Toronto to win it all, and they did. Well, you look at it from the other perspective. Toronto had every opportunity to win that series, and they just didn't do it. So that's the difference in the gap between the teams, and maybe difference in the gap in managers and how things are played out, and the quality core makeup of the teams. I thought the Dodgers were outplayed in most of the series. But that doesn't matter when it comes to producing runs. You can get out hit. You can have better defense on the other side. But if you are a team that scores when you need to score, and you get the runs in key moments, you're going to win these games. So I found it interesting that the Dodgers did come through and they did win the game, and especially in the way that they did. I thought that. The drama of the series was great for TV. I thought the drama of the series was great for watching the games. They were competitive games for the most part, and every pitch mattered for a lot of it. And, those Toronto fans are dying to get a win, and it just didn't happen. So it was just, I thought, a great TV, great, a fun series to watch. I didn't think it was going to be at the beginning. So it's totally shocking to me that way, that it played out the way it did. Great to entertainment that way. Much better than watching, some of these blowout football games that you got. You could have watched the Ravens destroy the Dolphins, or you could have watched the World Series. I mean, come on. There's no question that baseball was better. So when it comes to that, I think it was great. Now, coming into this coming year, I'm all excited. I'm a big WBC guy, and this is WBC coming up. So we're going to have the World Baseball Classic, and I'm excited for that. Obviously, that to me, I hate, and I say this in a strong language because I just do. These preseason spring training baseball games are so meaningless, and I'm a gambler, but I don't bet those games because I think they're meaningless. And, being part of those and sitting in dugouts and all that stuff, and people betting on them thinking like they know something is unbelievable. And because I'm just going to be flat out honest. It's practice. It's organized practice. That's what it is for Major League Baseball teams. World Baseball Classic is not organized practice. I'm telling you, it's not. and that is entertainment value, unbelievable. So I'm excited for that. But just on a side note, I just want to say this. We kind of glossed over it for a second, but this show and what we do on this show is a lot, in my opinion. What I do and how I do things is I'm a data guy, and I put stuff together, and I've been trying to show people how to use that data to make um, good bets, right? So there's this thing out there where I've already heard it. I heard it all last week. All these guys in our lanes, and they're all guys you've heard of. They're all guys you know. They're all these expert touts that come out on TV and or on Twitter or whatever. You got this sandwich game. You got this reason for that, and you got this reason for this, and you got this trend for that, and this shit for this. Okay, and what's their records? They lose, man. And I'm not telling you that I win all the time, and I'm not saying that. But what I'm trying to do, more than anything that I can help people with, is show a way that you can use data and you can use that to your advantage and not have to deal with the bullshit that you have to listen to. Because if you listen to that stuff, you're going to listen to Brad Powers and you're going to hear him say this, that, and the other thing, and this is a situational spot. And then you're going to go look at his record, and he's like 19-30 or some shit. You can't look. What I'm trying to say is last week was a good week for me, right? I mean, if you break it down, right, I won the first game with James Madison on a Tuesday, and then on the games I gave out for Saturday, they went 6-1, and I lost on Houston. Houston was the one game that didn't happen. Well, I had 6 turnovers. You're not going to win a game. You have 6 turnovers. It's just not going to happen. So I mean, stuff happens, right? But you're going to hear all this stuff, and people, that I don't want to bet Ohio State, and I don't want to bet this. Well, I bet Ohio State, and Ohio State covered. So not only was I 6-1 on that day and 7-1 for the week, I played 2 games yesterday. I won both of those. So I went 9-1 for the week of football. It can be done. I'm looking at. I don't play a lot of the NFL. My record, you're not going to be able to see this on this little card. But my record for the NFL for the year is 9 wins, 6 losses. I don't play a lot of those games. For college football, it's 37-23-1. So I'll take 46-29. I'll take that. That is, and then we're showing you how. Like we're going to the resources and we're going. Here's games on paper. This is what you need to look at. These are the data points to use. And what I'm trying to do more than anything is suggest to people that you don't have to sit here and listen to the bullshit and believe it, because there's other ways. And get smart, look at information, find the data sources that you need, and then utilize them. And Jeff doesn't know this, but I made 150 college basketball bets last year. So I will be way more apt to talk college basketball with you this year. But I won't be doing that until I have data. So I'm not going to tell you about these 103 basketball games today and go, hey, this is great value and this is this, because I don't do it that way. Like, I'm going to wait for a couple of weeks, get some data in, and then I'll be able to help and be able to do some different things. So anyway, a couple of weeks in, I'll be able to help you with college basketball. But I'm throwing NBA out. I'm not even doing NBA anymore. I mean, NBA's, it's like professional wrestling as far as I'm concerned. So as this kind of breaks down, I'm looking forward to college basketball. I'm loving college football. All the stuff that I've done to this point, I've already handicapped, Jeff, all the games through Monday. College football is now Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And what I like about this week, it's the MAC conference against, instead of, you don't have to go out there and watch Kennesaw State play, right? You don't have to watch these Middle Tennessee teams play. And I mean, I get it. It's the MAC, right? But at the same time, it's the MAC. These are teams that Ohio and Toledo and, some of these schools that, Central Michigan's and these teams that, they're decent. They're better than, the Kennesaw State type stuff that you see. So I've already handicapped all those games from Tuesday through Friday, and I got 2 plays. Now, I'm not going to give them out today. We can give them out tomorrow because this is a recap show. But the reality is that that's how you do it, right? You get in front of it. You try to figure out where you're at, what you're doing. And it doesn't take much. You just need the data, and then you need how to break it down and what you're going to do with it and all of those things. But, guys, I don't know how to say this other than to say it the way I'm going to say it. Look, I don't expect to go 7-1 on college football and then 2-0 in the NFL and 9-1 every single week. I don't. But based off of what I'm giving you guys every single week, 4-2 is not bad. 5-2 is not bad. You know, it's not a terrible thing, even if you go, 6-4 or whatever. The reality is it's not an easy thing, or everybody else and their brother would be doing this. So anyway, just take our show, try to learn as best you can, and for God's sakes, ask some damn questions so that you can learn how to do this stuff. Like, I mean, in today's society, and this is what bothers me the most about a lot of things, people want everything handed to them. They just say, here, go bet this. Here, go bet that. Look, I do that. I give you the plays. But what I'm trying to do is teach you the how. Because if you know the how and the reasoning behind it, you can just sit here and watch these guys, the Doug Gazarians of the world, and the guys that are on ESPN Bet, and these guys that go on these shows. And you can go, what the are you talking about? You people have no idea. You're just totally lost. And then you can show the difference, right? I sit there and go, oh, well, Chris Felico, the Bear, he picked these this week, and they were not on my side. They were against me. Well, he lost. He didn't win. So my point is, I'm not better than all these guys, but I'm certainly not worse than all these guys. And it's an approach and a methodology that if you adopt, you can work with. And because you can work with it, you can get better, and you can be a better handicapper yourself.
And it's kind of today's society is an instant gratification society. And a shout out to PB as he does every day for us. And I just want to give him the props. Reposted the stream, and that's what we ask everyone. Go repost the stream, tell a friend, give us a like, a subscribe at East Coast Sports Investors on YouTube. We're getting close to 12,000 subscribers there. But as Scotty and I have often said, we save the entertainment for that 4-letter word, or the sly guys at Fox, or whatever you guys are following right now. And the comedy is instant gratification. It's a props market now, in this regards. I don't pick sides anymore. I don't pick totals anymore. I may do it on the pre-flop, but I get in-game and to cover my losses, and I always profit. Or you just come up with these miracle 4 or 5-legged parlays, anytime touchdown. And my point is, Jerry on a little heater at Barstools finds 4 quarterbacks to each score, and he pops it for 100 large. And next thing you know, on the late game where Seattle had that game won in the first quarter, basically, 513,000 people watching a bunch of grown men sit on a leather couch and stare into their phones and watch the game. And that's where today's society is. And I personally have been doing this now for 10 years publicly. My face hasn't changed. Did a lot of shows with Pop DiBiase, may he rest in peace. Did shows with Dave Sharap here, may he rest in peace. A lot of people have left the building. A lot of people have been asked to leave the building because of their certain ways of their wagering. And it's just not what we do here at ECSI. You and I have been tagged at the hip for a long, long time. And it's kind of sad is, as you would like to say, we get a couple hundred people, 200-300 people that will watch the show by the time this is re-aired or go to YouTube. We don't have, 50,000, 100,000, 500,000 sitting there watching us stare into our phone. You're giving them your whys, what you do. I tell everyone what I do. And that's where we are today. So everyone, you have choices, and it's all up to you to decide which choices and which lanes that you go into. As Scotty said, Oops. As Scotty said here, Houston was his loss against West Virginia. Pitt minus 14. Ole Miss was 12.5. Ohio State 20.5. Texas Tech minus 7. And Duke wins outright at Clemson. Let me go right there for a second, Scott. Let me pull this off the screen. I'll ask you a question. I mean, there's boatload of openings. Sometimes coaches have, the locker rooms tuning them out. You don't go with what everyone else is doing, the NIL, the transfer portal. I'll ask you this, spot on. Is it time for Clemson to move on?
Yeah, the Dabo's, you can see it on the sideline. Those kids don't listen to him. He doesn't have the locker room anymore. I guess the way to say this is if you're so think about the elite teams. Who's the elite teams? Well, you got Ohio State, Indiana these days. You got Texas. Are they going to lose to Duke? Are those teams going to lose to Duke at home? They're not going to lose those games. They'll kill those teams. So Clemson is not an elite. They're not an elite school anymore. So if you're going to try to recruit kids to go there, you're going to compete against the Ohio States, the USCs, the Michigans, and Alabamas, and all those teams. You're not going to get the same. You're not going to do as well. So I think that unless you get some kind of super quarterback, which they thought they had in Klubnik, but obviously they don't. Obviously they don't have anybody in depth behind them. And then I also think this. Think about Ohio State and game 1 against Texas, and what was Julian saying like then, and what is he like today? And the games that he puts forth today. He threw 4 touchdown passes in the last game against Penn State and had 3 incompletions, and he had 400 yards passing. I get it. He's got great guys to throw to. But my point is that I think that a school like Ohio State is developing their talent, making those kids even better, where a school like Clemson is not. Now, Cade Klubnik could have went to a school that have great quarterback coaches and become something really good, maybe. Well, he's at Dabo's school. Dabo's this guy that wants to beat his chest and tell everybody that he's some redneck guy that can coach football. Well, maybe he is, but I don't think he's good for Clemson. And Clemson's got a. Who do they play this week? Clemson plays. Where's my stuff? They play Clemson. Oh, they play Florida State this week. You think they're going to beat Florida State? They're favored to beat Florida State. I haven't done the game, but eye test tells me they won't beat Florida State. So just eye test. I haven't gone through anything, so don't anybody go out and bet it. It's the same thing. Scott told me to bet this game because I haven't done that yet. But my point is, I think he's got to go. Now, what surprised me that I saw this morning, but I guess happened the day before, I was surprised that Maryland got rid of their head coach. The Maryland head coach, and that's a tough place to recruit for football. But he's turned that program around from a losing program to at least a little bit over 500 program. He can't beat the big boys, but he's competitive. I know he got blown out by Indiana, and that was the last straw, and they got rid of him. But, Indiana thinks they're bullies, so we'll see what happens when they play Penn State this week. I think Penn State will play him probably a little tougher than what most people think. Anyway, because it's in Penn State, and I think that quarterback – he didn't look too bad against Ohio State. I mean, that backup quarterback looked pretty good. So I think we'll see what happens there. But my point, I guess, is that I think it was a surprise that Maryland fired their head coach. But there's probably, at least 10, maybe 12 major, I wouldn't say major, but at least, quality football head coaching positions available. There's not 12 retreads they're going to go out and put in there. So some of these guys are going to get opportunities that maybe rightfully deserve them. I think Clemson should be right in line with that. Get rid of that guy. I mean, that guy's got to go because things evolve, right? And you can say what you want to about Nick Saban, but he didn't want to play this game. He's like, look, I don't want to get involved in this nil stuff. I don't want to. This is not my stuff. This is getting not to where I don't want to be. I want to be a good football coach, and I want to do things my way, and blah blah blah. And he got out. Well, Dabo should be going, this is beyond me. I need to get out. But he's too. He's some people, and again, culturalistically, and this is just the way things work. When you're given the authority to run a football program, you are you're a guy building something, and it's all on you. It's whatever you make it to be. And then when you're successful, stuff gets up here, gets in your head, and you become bigger and more than what it is that you really are. And I think that's where Dabo's at. I think Dabo is at the point where he thinks he's this monstrous football coach, and that he ranks up there with the greatest coaches that ever lived. And he's not. And not only is he not, but at the same time, he's at a point where he's detrimental to the school and to the kids that are there, and he's not developing them to be what they should be. And it's time. I think time for him to go. I guess long-winded answer. It's time for him to go.
Well, and the comedy is James Franklin was owed like $50 million, and I don't have the contract in front of me, and I don't know if you were sitting on the sidelines working for Fox or whoever, a la Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, and all these other guys, what the contract, how much monies you would get paid from Penn State, and versus just sitting on the couch and doing nothing. But to jump into Virginia Tech just there alone tells me that James Franklin, I think it was more itchy trying to save face in his name. There are so many big spots out there. Not that James Franklin would have got the call to an LSU or Florida or whatever, but I don't understand that, and I do follow you, because it was early in the week, early in the year, after a couple losses, Dabo goes, well, I guess 8 ACC titles doesn't mean anything. I guess 2 national championships doesn't mean anything. In the tournament, 6 out of 10 times. And when someone starts going back to the past and the past and the past and doesn't want to get off of their thought process, because he was not a part of the transfer portal. He wasn't a part of the nil deal. And then he was really stiff-arming that. And he was waiting for this year. He finally had a big-time quarterback. Well, was supposed to. He won with Deshaun Watson. He won with Trevor Lawrence. And this was his claim to fame. A lot of people had Clemson, Penn State in the championship game. So it is time there. Tuesday, the first playoff breakdown, who's in, who's out. And again, we got weeks and weeks upon this. I'll just go on record. Indiana's 9-0. Ohio State defending champs 8-0. I think for TV, for drama, just me. I don't have the playbook or nothing. I think they'll have Indiana 1 and Ohio State 2, Scotty.
Yeah, I think they might. I don't know. When I think that when they look at that stuff, last year all I heard about was strength of schedule, and all that kind of stuff was really important, and all of that. And looking at numbers this week, Indiana's strength of schedule shows 3, and Ohio State shows 6. And I say that, and everybody goes, well, how's that possible? Well, they don't count what's coming up; it counts what they've played. So Ohio State, they don't have hardly anybody left. I mean, they play Purdue this week, and they're on the road 28.5-point favorites, for God's sakes. So when you start to think about all these, but I will tell you this: eye test wise, nobody's better than Ohio State. And I get an email from Sam Poyanovich, and he gets, I don't want to call it insider information, but some of these guys have better information in terms of who they talk to about lines and numbers than what I have availability to. And he said in talking to guys that make the numbers, sportsbook operators, Ohio State's 5 points better than anybody. So as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to whatever those numbers are, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Ohio State's going to play Indiana, and they're going to play them in the Big Ten championship. So you're going to get to see that game. And as long as both teams are healthy and all of that stuff, I think the other thing that I think that is important to realize here is that Mendoza, the quarterback for Indiana, who was the Heisman Trophy, kind of favorite there for a week or two, it's now Julian Sayin. So okay, where is Indiana better in any stretch of the imagination than Ohio State? Are they better in the coaching? No. Are they better at the quarterback? No. Are they better at the wide receiver? No. Are they better in defense? No. Are they better in offense? No. The only thing that Indiana does that Ohio State really doesn't do is Indiana goes to say a Maryland and goes, oh, I scored 40 points. That's not enough. Let's ratchet this up to get 55 points, right? So they like to be the bullies. Well, okay, fine. They can be the bullies of these teams until they play some teams that can bully them back and punch them in the mouth. So, I think that's an interesting kind of food for thought. I think it's going to be interesting to see where they rate teams like BYU. BYU is undefeated, and they've got a big game this week. Think about this: BYU, they play Texas Tech, right? This week, yeah. BYU plays Texas Tech. Texas Tech's lost 1. BYU has lost 0. In the polls, not that I go by the polls because the polls are stupid, but the polls, BYU's like 8th or something like that now. Maybe they're 6th because of what happened there on the weekend. But they're rated ahead of Texas Tech. Texas Tech is like 10th. Texas Tech is 10.5-point favorites against BYU at home. So is there disrespect there for BYU, or is BYU way overrated? The question then becomes, is the whole purpose of this committee thing is to really look at that and go, let's put the deserving teams in the proper ranks of where they belong. I don't think it matters whether Ohio State's 1 or Ohio State's 2 or Indiana's 1 or Indiana's 2. I don't really, because they're going to play each other and that's going to work itself out. But at a game like this or a team like BYU, they're going to need, if they get to the Big 12 championship or whatever and they don't win, they're going to need to have some solid help to get a bid over a team like, I don't know, let's just throw a team like Georgia and the SEC teams out there that might have the same loss record as they do. That they're not going to rate higher than them, so they need help to get in. And I think that's what this committee's for. This committee's for that kind of figuring out who the top 12 teams are to try to get in there. I guess top 11 teams, because one of them is going to be the Power 4 conference or whatever, or Power 5 conference or whatever. So, we'll see how that plays out. I think it's interesting to think about that and who's really running it this year. I know Arch Manning was involved a couple years ago. I don't know that he's still doing it. I think they change all those people every year. So we'll see how this opinion group is and what's important to them, because I don't know. It could be anything. They might think point differential is the most important thing, or I don't know. Who knows?
I'm going to close the show today. I want to bring this up here. Let me see if I can get this up for everyone here. Share screen. Football. Share. Not overreaction Monday. I'm not going to say that, guys. But what I am going to say is this. We remember what we saw last. And this is the NFL. As you talked about Seattle, Darnold, perfection. And it was funny. I don't know if you saw the end of the half. They had 13 seconds. They could have used their last timeout. How bad is the NFL and technology? The guy catches a ball, and he's fighting to go out of bounds to save his last timeout. His foot gets out of bounds. He's out of bounds. But yet that his knee landed inbounds, therefore he technically was tackled inbounds. So Seattle, instead of using their final timeout with 13 seconds, and throw under the end zone, which Donald was 13 for 13. They saved their last time out. They drop it down to 3 seconds, kick the field goal. It was just kind of comical there. But I want to go over a couple things. Indy coming off a loss in Berlin, opened at 7. It's 6.5. That one smells to me there. Cleveland Jets open at 1.5. Jets now 2. New Orleans, Carolina. Carolina coming off a huge win in Green Bay. Green Bay got caught chewing their food again. Looks like Tucker Kraft out for the year for the Packers. Carolina opens at 3.5, steamed to 5.5. New Orleans gets stumped by the Rams there. It's all of a sudden Carolina, if I'm remembering correctly, Scott, has 5 wins and now 5.5-point favorites, which is a buyer beware for me. Buffalo travels to Miami. Buffalo 9.5. Jacksonville at Houston opened at 2.5 now, 1.5 now. Stroud in protocol there, concussion protocol. Baltimore travels to Minnesota. Baltimore 3.5. Again, J.J. McCarthy looked fabulous in Detroit. Now they come home, a Baltimore team with a little extra rest. They played on Thursday. Number opened up at 3.5 for a reason, guys. They're looking for some Vikings money. Will it get back to 3? I doubt it. Scotty talked about Pats traveling to Tampa Bay. The line didn't open at 1.5, guys. The line's been 2.5 the whole time. Patriots now tied with the Colts in Denver with 7 wins in the AFC there. Giants, Chicago in the game of the day. Chicago against Cincinnati. Bears up 13, pick 6, go up 3 scores, yet a phantom fingernail. And next thing you know, Cincinnati touchdown, onside kick, touchdown, take the lead, and Loveland from 57. They find a way to win. If he got tackled in bounds, I don't think they would have been able to kick the field goal either. Arizona at Seattle. The midget is not playing today. It's Brissett in Dallas. So right now, Seattle opens up 7-point favorites. Darnold, the Legion of Boom, they're back. As Scotty said, you might want to add them to your portfolio. Detroit, 3.5 against Washington. Well, that is now 8, 8.5, 7.5. Obviously, Washington, Jaden Daniels out. It's a lost year for the Commanders there. Rams, San Francisco. Rams 3.5 at San Fran. Maybe Purdy plays, maybe doesn't. This is a huge revenge spot as Rams played San Fran and Mac Jones. 9-point favorites on that Thursday night, and the 49ers won out right there. Pittsburgh travels to the Chargers in the late night Sunday game. Chargers opened at 3.5. I kind of figured there would be some steal of money. That went to 3. Alt looks like he's out there. And then this is the other move that I thought would happen. Monday night, Philly travels to Green Bay coming off a bye. Opened at 3, now 2.5. People remember what they saw last. Thoughts on the NFL, Scotty?
Yeah, I think you got to be careful with the soap opera that is the NFL. And what I mean by that is I like the way you phrase it sometimes when you say, hey, look, there's 5 teams, maybe 6 teams that are elite in the NFL, and there's 5 or 6 teams that are bottom feeders, and everybody else bounces back and forth. Just remember that, right? Because the 5 or 6 teams that are on the bottom, they're going to stay on the bottom, they're going to be on the bottom, and they're going to be bottom feeders all year long, and you can rely on that. And the same thing sort of applies to the top feeders. So these teams that are kind of in the middle and bounce around a lot, just remember that they're going to be good one week, bad the next. And what you see is not what you get. It's hocus pocus, right? So they're the best players in the world at what they do. And if they're on a team that's kind of a middling team, they're going to have great days because they're the best players in the world. But so's the other team, and that's why they bounce back and forth. But if you're on a great team, you've got a full roster of team players that are a little better than those guys. So they're always going to be good. And the same thing applies to the ones who just aren't there yet. So be careful of certain things and figure certain things out, right? Like, so, and shame on me. One of my things yesterday that I didn't bet it. I bet my bets yesterday were Houston and Denver under 41. And it was like 15-15, and they kicked the field goal to make it 18-15. So that was pretty good. And I played on San Francisco minus the 2.5 yesterday. I know a lot of people were on the Giants, but I played minus the 2.5. But my AI computer came back in the programs that I'm starting to feed it now with the NFL, and it said the best bet of the day. The best bet of the day is to take the Chicago Bears team total over 26.5 or 27 or whatever it was, and they scored, I don't know, 47 points by themselves. So then I started reading, and I saw a report today that came out. Aaron Schultz is a guy that I think if you don't know him, you should at least try to figure out what you can get from him. He runs DVOA data numbers, and he's the inventor of DVOA. And that's not meaning it's the greatest thing in the world, but it's a great way to put things into perspective of proficiencies and what's important, because just like in baseball, you have wins for a pitcher, and you have earned run average and batting average that are almost meaningless to how a person's going to perform to produce a win in a game. Yards per play and yards per play margin used to be what handicappers used all the time. Well, now there's way more efficient things. EPA, for example. DVOA is another one of those standards that's way more efficient than those numbers. And what I'm getting at is he reported this morning that the Cincinnati Bengals team defense, DVOA, is the worst DVOA in the NFL history since the rookie year of the San Francisco 49ers when Joe Montana was the quarterback. I don't know how long ago that is. I don't recall that, but I'm guessing that's 35 years ago, something along those neighborhoods. They're the worst defense in the NFL in 35 years. So think about that. Anytime that you want to try to play again, who's playing Cincinnati, they're going to score 40 points. That's what it means. They're going to score 35 points, something like that. They're going to score a ton of points, and then it's a matter of who do they play, and can that can Cincinnati score? Well, I don't know. Joe Flacco's 41 years old. He doesn't look to me like Aaron Rodgers out there. Aaron Rodgers looks frail and fragile. Joe Flacco threw for 490 yards or something like that against the Bears defense. So, of course, he's got good weapons to throw to. So stuff can be misleading. I think motivations in the NFL are sometimes a little different. I thought, and I don't know why, but I thought Green Bay looked just like they were sleepwalking the entire game. And then when I looked at the numbers that came back from that game, and the reality is, Carolina wasn't very good either. But where it was Carolina was decent in the red zone, and Green Bay was not, and that turned into points, and that's what happens. It's like yesterday, Houston really dominated the first half of that football game against Denver, but all they did was kick field goals. They couldn't score touchdowns. They scored 15 points, all touchdowns. Field goals. And the reality is that at one point in that game, the quarterback Nix for Denver, he had completed, I think, like 7 or 8 passes and tried to complete 25. He was like 8 and I don't know where he was. It was awful, the performance that was going on in those games, and yet Denver went and won the game, and that's what I'm trying to say is the NFL is a little different than college football in the sense that the NFL you've got to be good at certain points and segments of the game, and it's not always going to be pretty, and it's not always going to be precise. Look at like Jacksonville played the Raiders yesterday. I think that game was like, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at it, but it was like 9 points, 10 points, whatever it was, going into the fourth quarter. And the final score of that game was like 39-38.
30-29.
You know what I mean? Like they scored 70 million points in the fourth quarter, and then they went into overtime. It's amazing how some of this stuff is drama related, retarded related, just bad football. And you might see some of that tonight. Like Arizona, um, they don't have a great offense, but they're playing Dallas's defense and they're terrible. But Dak Prescott's been really good, and and their two wide receivers for Dallas have been really good. Arizona's defense is not very good, so I think you got avenues to move the ball back and forth. It's just a matter of whether you like Dallas to cover the points or not. I don't like Jacoby Brissett, so I would be on the Dallas side more than I would be on the other.
Right now, open to 51 and a hook in Dallas -3 at Circa. Good morning, Mr. Benson and Mr. Stevens. 3 -15 cents. Next move might be to 3.5. They probably don't want to get there. 53 and a hook. Let me see something quickly today if I can help anyone out. Let's see what the numbers say here. Dallas team total 28.5. Arizona's team total 24.5. Juice to the over. So if you think Dallas is going to get to 30 or better there, take their team total there. Big slate of college hoops, as we talked about. Nice to hear that you'll be on with me while you're doing your baseball work. We'll be talking college basketball. I'm glad to hear that, sir. Closing thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest closing thought relates to this, and I'm going to beat this to death. Jeff has, I don't know, almost 12,000 subscribers, and these are subscribers now to YouTube. And then if you go back and you go and say, well, how many people actually watch the YouTube channel? We get 12, we get 15, we get 20 people watch on YouTube. I don't get it. Of you 12,000 people, why are you subscribed to the channel? Who cares? Let me say this, and I don't want to speak for Jeff. I'm going to speak for me. So I'm going to say it this way. If you're not participating, then get the hell out. Seriously, nobody needs you. Nobody cares if there's 12,000 of you and there's 12 people of you, 12,000 that watch the show. I would rather see 20 people follow and all 20 of you watch. If you got 20,000 and 12 of you watch the show, nobody cares. I mean, I'm seriously. So when PB is out here reposting these streams, he's trying to help us. None of the rest of you are doing this stuff. And I'm going to say it this way too. All these wager wire people that are out here, and I know Jeff's the sponsor, so it's going to be good. Wager wire helps because they help retweet stuff. But you know what they retweet? They retweet the little thing that say we got shows coming on. Retweet the show. Don't retweet the little promotion piece. Retweet the shows. Guys, look, this is all word of mouth stuff for us. It's all trying to help us grow. If you really want to see quality stuff on the air and you want us to improve our quality and do different things and bring on fun and games and that kind of stuff, we need money to do that. And to do that, we need advertisers. To do that, we need viewers. You need 500, 1,000 people watching these shows. I watch these shows with Brad Powers and this stuff, and I just get sick listening to what they say because people buy into this stuff hook, line, and sinker. And you need to have real responsible things going on. That doesn't mean we're right all the time, but it does give you the opportunity to at least voice an opinion, have questions answered, which drives me insane. I did a baseball show with Jeff last year, pretty much. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I can't remember, but I did it every night. And we would have tons of interaction and lots of questions. That's what I'm used to. I get it. It's 9 o'clock in the morning and maybe people are working and it's different other things. Get on Twitter. Get on Jeff's Twitter. Get on my Twitter. Get on this show later. We look, ask questions. We'll follow up. We'll put them on the show. We'll break down games. If you have a question about what does this stat mean or is this a valid thing to look at, right? That kind of stuff. We can tell you whether it's worth your time or whether it's not, right? Like QBR, is it important or is it not important? Well, it's not really important, to be honest, in terms of how things come out. But it gives me a great idea when I'm looking at a game and handicapping a game, if I've got a great quarterback, I know the quarterback at least is it puts the team in a position that if they're struggling from behind, they can come back and win. If they're not, then I don't want to bet on that team. So I look at QBR for certain reasons, maybe not the reasons you might think. So anyway, point being is ask the questions about data points, about how to read a line, about what does a line movement mean, about money and tickets and stuff like that. You don't hear us talk about that anymore. We don't talk about tickets and how many are what we think might be public tickets or sharp line movement or any of that stuff, because it doesn't goddamn matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Right? If I can prove anything, all these things I give out on Wednesday or Thursday, line moves happen for me and against me, and we still win. It doesn't matter. So just handicap the game, figure it out, and move forward. Learn how to do this stuff. Get better. That's the whole purpose of all of this. Get better at what you do. Take ownership of your betting and get better at it, and follow and start getting to a point. I know this is a little sidetracky, but I followed a guy once, and you know what he said to do? He said the greatest thing that he could do, Twitter's great because Twitter, X or whatever you call it, is great because it has these things in there where you can make lists. And he said, one of the things that he did is he put a list together, and I have tons of lists in there now. But one of the lists that I want to get to it is very limited list that you make. And whoops, hit the wrong button. And I'm not gonna necessarily. I'm gonna go and where's my list? I have lists that I follow that are lists that other people have made, and lists that I made that I put together. But one of the lists that he said to make is make a list of what's called quorum of experts. Okay, so if you have a list and your list is 3 people, and that's it, your quorum of experts, there shouldn't be much more than that, of 3 people, and you have one for baseball, you have one for gambling, and you have one for poker. I'm just making this up. And you put those 3 people in there. Every time they're tweeting, they're going into your quorum of experts list. You click the quorum of experts list, and you get great information to help you every single day become better at whatever it is you want. Start doing stuff like that, where you're getting to a point where you are narrowing the focus of who is the best at what they do, and get the information from them. Exclude all the other crap in your life, and you'll get better. I guarantee it, you'll get better. And that was one of the greatest advices that I've ever received from Twitter or X or anywhere like that. Get yourself a list of quorum of experts, small number of people, 2, 3, maybe 4 at the most, and just follow, put them in your list. Everything they tweet is going to show up in that file. Go to that list and be good. That's it. That's all I got.
Big slate of college hoops. We're sifting through the madness as we speak. Arizona, Dallas tonight. Again, Dallas now 3.5 favored there. The MAC tomorrow. Me and Scotty will be back tomorrow around 9:15. Break down what's going on Tuesday in the MAC.
We got 2 plays this week already.
We'll recap Monday Night Football. Maybe I'll throw out a quick couple notes what I saw day 1 of college hoops. Andrew McGinnis will be on around 10:30 to talk some NHL, but really to get a temperature on the gut-wrenching 7th game loss in Canada for Toronto there. As for the ECSI VIPs, nice day yesterday to wrap up the week. We start again, new week today, November 3rd. 2 months till the end of 2025. A lot of work to do as we get prepared for 2026. And I'll close with this, as I stated in the beginning of the show. The Dodgers, back-to-back champs. Going for a 3-peat will be real interesting. How they work the off season, who they're letting go, who they're going to bring in. There's about a list of 40 names out there that are free agents. There's some big names out there. Your Kyle Tuckers of the world, your Schwarbers of the world, your Bregmans of the world. Be interesting to see how they maneuver. There's always trades possibility as well. So exciting times as we're about a month away from the Winter Stove meetings. So myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Shout out to Mr. Lucky. Shout out to PB, Dr. Lance, everyone else watching. Follow. Shout out to WagerWire. Thank you for all you do. It's a new week, guys. Breathe. Fall is here. Winter is knocking on the door. Hope everyone enjoyed their extra hour sleep. We will see you soon.